Do not be misled about the economy. We hear things like the debt ceiling getting raised. We hear that the Fed is now thinking of a pause and not raising interest rates anymore. What's going to make the stock market go up? But be careful. Things sometimes are not what it seems. So the question is, what do we trust? How do we know our money's safe? Today we're going to talk about money and also how we should still have precaution about the economy. Let's jump into it. Today's video is going to be a good one. It starts right now. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let me know what you think about this video. We learn from other people in the comments, so every time you're putting a comment in, hopefully it's going to help someone else as they read through the comments as well and as they watch the video. So comment below, let us know what you think about this video. Now let's jump into it. Is our economy as safe as they're saying it is? Should we still be cautious about our money? So we hear a few stories that came out today. Are you ready to ride the wave up? The recession could be over because debt ceiling has been solved. Fed is maybe doing a pause where they're not going to raise interest rates anymore. That's going to make the market do well. But is it a real true growth in the market, or is it all speculation? Is it all almost a scare or fear tactics of the market? So that's two reasons I believe we're going to see the market do well. But is it false? Is it really a false flag there? I think it is. So let's talk about a few reasons why I think it's a false flag, and I think you should be very careful of where you're putting your money the next few weeks and months and even years. First concern that I have is that oil production, OPEC, Saudi Arabia is taking oil production down. Oil production, no matter what way you think about it, it is killing us by not having independence in fossil fuels. If we don't have the independence, then we depend on the open market, and that's more speculative and it's going to cost us more. The more that our gas goes up for us, for the supply chain, and for every avenue of life that we're in, it's going to affect the economy. Here's another thing. Russia's exports for oil, meaning what they're doing and pushing out to the world, is up 37%. 37%. So all those embargoes and all these policies, all this junk that we're putting against them has actually hurt us worse, and it's helping them. So policy on oil is going to cause the market to have some issues. Right now, it may look good and you can ride it up. But the question is, how far can it go up with oil being such a major part of the market, and it's being so speculated and also being manipulated because we're not in control of it like we should be. We should be making routes to independence again with that. We're cutting oil leases off and we're having to buy it from people who really don't like us. So then we're turning around and paying more for it. And when we're paying more for it, we're paying it to countries that truly want to use that money against us or against our allies. Do you think that's brilliant? I don't think so. So that right there in itself, the oil market, the oil speculation, I think it's going to cause us to see a lot more volatility in the market. Number two, we are the world's biggest economy still. Even though we are struggling, even though we're playing around and toying around with recession, all those things are true. However, because of all this, you're seeing the market look good, you're seeing everybody happy, and all the politicians are telling you it's all going to get better. But with us being the biggest economy, there is a major drag in our economy on manufacturing jobs and output from the manufacturers. Meaning they're having to lay off people, the production is not there, the supply of what they're needing to fulfill their obligations is not getting to them. There's one I read on MXM and also Zero Hedge about how there's a major lag in our manufacturing. Now let's think about it. Not only is there a lag in manufacturing, we've pretty much ran all the big manufacturers and all the big players across the world to make this global push instead of doing things here on our grounds and putting manufacturing really as a forefront back in America. So we, again, oil and manufacturing is kind of what made America America. So because it's lagging, that is still going to cause more issues with supply chain, but also the fact that there's people losing jobs. Now let's don't talk just manufacturing. Let's jump over to retail. There's businesses falling every day. We see massive layoffs in retail sectors. We see massive layoffs of all these bricks and mortar style chains for clothing and so forth. Now, why is that the one things that are getting hurt? Yes, online buying has really put a detriment on bricks and mortar stores. However, people still tangibly like going into stores and buying things. The problem is because the economy is in such shambles and because inflation is so big still, even with the Fed saying they're going to pause on interest rate hikes, the inflation is still high. So people are not buying as much as they once were. So how's the economy going to get better when we have a lag in manufacturing and the retail sector is still struggling and not able to fulfill those bricks and mortar retail outlets? We're seeing a lot of those companies close. We're seeing a lot go into bankruptcy, and I think we're going to see a lot more. The retail sector is hurt, the manufacturing is hurt. So we have oil manufacturing and retail. How is the economy looking better, and what they're telling us is looking better when these things are not? Just think about it. Back in 08-09, before the big financial crisis and the housing market, and when we really went through a hard time in our nation, everybody said it's not going to happen. We're all okay. Everything's okay. We put our proverbial head in the sand. We had so much optimism in the market to then all of a sudden everybody lost crap loads of money, all because we didn't see the signs. Well, the signs of supply chain issues, oil, retail, and manufacturing, those are signs. Those are signs that you need to be paying attention to. Not only that, I always look at what billionaires and the uber wealthy are doing with their money. Not the ones that are tied to politics. I'm not talking about those because I believe there's a totally different agenda there. But when you see the biggest players in our economy looking towards precious metals, looking towards real estate, looking towards ways to put their money up in cash or in savings or ways to hedge against some of the volatility that's going in the stock market, I think they see what is coming. They don't want to see another major crash like they once saw before. So I would say that on our small level, because we're not ultra billionaires or millionaires, or I sure am not, I think we have to take it on the same level. We have to look at other avenues to invest our money. So I'm not saying stop your retirements. Again, not opinion. This is just me saying what I think the wisest thing for us to do now. We have to look for other sources of savings to put our money in. Just this week, again, I've made some purchases with precious metals. I've also made some purchases of some antiquities. Why do I do that? Because I believe that if we don't invest in something that's going to hold value, then if we turn around and put our money in the stock market and all of a sudden we do go down, because the optimism may be there, but optimism and speculation is not the whole market. That's a part of it. But if it does tank, then we lose it all. I'd rather have it in things like gold. Did you know that China, Poland, and a lot of other countries, India, even our Fed, is investing heavy loads of money in gold? Why would they be hedging their money in gold? Why? And I know people say, well, I can't afford gold right now. Look at precious metals, gold and silver. Look at smaller coins. They're going to cost you more. But you may want to look at some options like gold or silver. I say this a lot, and I feel like I'm a broken record. If we put all our eggs in one basket, when that basket falls, it's going to bust all our eggs, and then again, our dependency will be back on the system. Well, the system is going to let you down. It lets you down by the market crashing because they're not taking care of our money. The debt ceiling is absolutely a joke, because what we're doing is we're allowing our government to keep printing money, spending money we don't have, to give to countries that really don't like us, and us not have the manufacturing and the oil production back here for that independence. So now we've discussed oil, we've discussed manufacturing and retail, we've discussed how other countries are getting wealthy off providing oil to the world because we're not, such as Russia. We've also talked about how we see what billionaires are doing. They're getting a lot of their monies out of some of those places like just volatility in stocks, and maybe putting in alternative ways of savings and hedging against inflation, even down to the countries hedge against the loss of the market and also inflation. Even countries are doing that. When we see China and all those countries starting to invest in gold, why are they investing in gold, and why are you not investing in precious metals? Also remember this. The more that our politicians tell us what we want to hear, the more I think we should second guess what they're telling us. Now, what I mean by that is this. If we look back in history and track records, do we honestly believe government has done well with our money? Do we believe that our tax dollars are spent very wisely? I think about the bridge that just collapsed, I think in Pennsylvania, I can't remember what state. Why are we having infrastructure issues when we're sending billions of money across the world to all these different countries who don't like us. What are we doing? So another scary thing to me is that we are printing more money and sending it away from here to then turn around and see a government who has mismanaged our funds. The mismanagement of funds is still going to happen, because here, I'm a conservative, but because Republicans and conservatives do not have a backbone and do not stand up for the American people, the true people who put them in office, and they lied to us saying that they were going to fix all this and try to hold the line. They didn't, and they let you down, and all of a sudden now we've got trillions and trillions and trillions more added to, you know, this debt, and we're able to just print and borrow as much money as we want. That's not sustainable. It's like us at our home. Let's take it down to dollars and cents. If you are making $1,000 a month and you're spending $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a month, do you honestly believe that's going to always work out for you? It's not. For long, you're going to get to the bottom of the pit, and there's going to be no other money to borrow or to utilize. And you're going to be down in a hole, fully dependent on what goes on in the world and the real economy. So it's the same with our government. More countries are moving away from our currency because of some of the issues we did with Swift Bank and Russia and so forth. All that has been hashed, I know. But because we have tried to manipulate the countries, and then we still pass tons of our money across to all these other countries, everyone is looking for us to be strong. Well, if we keep spending money that we don't have, and we're in a trade deficit, we're in the biggest trade deficit that we've been in, I know, for the last few years at least. Because we're in those trade deficits, because we have adversaries, and because not having that independence here, and we're going to have to depend on all the trade that's coming in globally, it's not going to allow our economy to stay stable for long. I'll be honest, I actually am surprised that we've been able to hold up the economy for this long. But I think a lot of that speculation and also manipulation of markets. So what I'm saying with this whole video, and it comes down to this: don't just trust that it's going to be okay. Don't just trust that the market is something you can support. I always go back to investing in local companies, investing in local foods, investing in local communities. Maybe there's ways you can invest in your food or your precious metals. Maybe there's ways that you could hedge against your own inflation and your own money issues by putting your money up in something that you've been wanting. Now, I said in another video a few days ago, I don't know if it's the time to buy real estate or homes because they're so inflated, the interest is so high. So I think you would end up losing on a home. But if you could find a good piece of property that's pretty economic and you can take advantage of that, great, take advantage of that. They're not making dirt anymore. But we've got to get to the point where we realize we cannot just trust that the economy is going to get better. I believe we're going to see a time where it's going to get a lot worse because of these things that we talked about. Going back, not one of these situations that we discussed in this video is good for our economy or America. So how long can we prop it up? How long can we stand on a three-legged stool and it not be taken out from us? How long can we trust our politicians to be good with our money and then to print more to then turn around and give it away as our infrastructure here on America's soil struggles? When they name these bills, like infrastructure bills and all this great thing, and how they're taking care of the budget and making America sovereign, and all those names of the bills, is doing the exact opposite. It is ripping the American people to pieces. And financially, we can't keep doing what we're doing. We're working hard as Americans. They're taking our tax dollars to then turn around and be very frivolous with it. So if they're going to keep being frivolous with it, we've got to find other ways to put our money not in the system, but break away from the system. I talked about this in the last video. We got to break away from the matrix. Well, financially, you've got to find other avenues. Is it crypto? Is it Bitcoin? That's up to you. Is it precious metals? That's up to you. Is it food? Is it building a bunker? Is it buying land? What is it? Is it paying down debts that you personally have so you can have some freedom and independence? Do not be misled by them, please. The scripture I always go back to, it says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good morals. And I believe politicians in whole are bad company, and they're corrupting our morals of America, but financially they're destroying America as well. And if we don't figure out how to get strong leaders back, then I believe we're going to see harder times, and the economy can be propped up for so long, and then we're going to see a collapse. And that's what I'm scared of. So go back to some of the videos that we've talked about what I'm doing with our money. I'm investing in food, I'm investing in infrastructure on my farm. If it's an outbuilding you need to purchase, if there's some kind of infrastructure you need to build, if you can purchase some land and you can get a good deal on it, may be a good option right now. If you can stockpile cash, I know people are like, oh, you're not gonna stockpile cash, that's terrible. If it falls, it's not gonna be worth anything. Well, that's a whole lot better than it sitting in the market and you tangibly don't have access to it, and all of a sudden the market falls out. Is it precious metals? That's a biggie for me. Is it antiquities? Is it self-defense items that we've talked about before? You've got to find other avenues. Please do not just look at the optimism of the market because the debt ceiling was quote unquote solved and that the Fed is not going to raise interest rates. Those are false flags. And I'm scared that if we don't pay attention and really be cautious, then that optimism is going to cause us to go through another 08-09 situation, and hopefully not a depression situation. Start thinking about what you can do with other avenues and other ways to take care of your money, take care of your investments, your assets, because that's all we have. Our independence is in what we've got. If we don't have anything, then we're going to depend on the government to fulfill it or the system to fulfill it. We don't want to be that way. So trust in yourself and understand that you need to find ways and avenues to put your money. Have wisdom. I always say seek wisdom. So we're Christians, so we look for God. We look to God and say, God, guide us in the ways that we need to do, what we need to do with our money. How can we utilize it for good stewardship to make sure that we're taking care of our family? So think about that. I hope more than anything that you don't just watch mainstream media and say, well, it looks like it's getting better. We can go all in the market again. Our retirements are safe. Be careful. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. I don't think we can have the optimism that our politicians are telling us to have, because I typically don't trust the politicians because they've not led us too good lately. So let's find good company and wisdom and seek what we need to be doing with our funds and not putting ourselves in bad company and people who frivolously spend money. And let's don't invest in that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.